LA does. This is a place known as an incubator for new ideas, new products, and entrepreneurial spirit. And as we can see this in the city's dynamic aerospace, fashion, film, universities, and high-tech industries, all of which are known the world over. The city's success is driven by the talent and entrepreneurial spirit of its people, and we find that same entrepreneurial spirit in the people of Bangladesh. I've been amazed as I get to know the country and its people, how resilient people are, how innovative they are, and how ultimately optimistic they are. This is a resource with practically unlimited potential. Everything else you can spend and run out of, but if you have that essential human resource, your horizons are literally limitless. As ambassador, I try especially hard to interact as often as possible with the youth of Bangladesh. They are truly inspiring, and they give me great hope for Bangladesh's future development. And the United States stands with the people of Bangladesh in pursuing this development. We have an initiative that is organized through the Edward M. Kennedy, or the EMK Center, helps train young Bangladeshi entrepreneurs by providing a space to exchange ideas, attract seed capital, and create networks between innovators in Bangladesh and among the Bangladeshi Americans. Our efforts have helped nurture Bangladesh's tech startup community, have created employment opportunities for women living in slum communities, and foster a new wave of innovation, not only in Dhaka, but also in the rural areas. I encourage each of you who have not already done so to connect with the EMK Center online, where you can serve as mentors to these budding entrepreneurs in Bangladesh. I'm sure they have a lot that they can learn from you. Improved educational outcomes will help Bangladesh reach its goal of becoming a middle-income country within a decade as well. Bangladeshi people have the means to create a good quality of life for themselves and their children, where everyone has access to nutritious food, decent housing, quality education, effective health care, and an even better future for their children, something I've learned that people the world all over, regardless of where they live, strive for. Bangladesh's thriving garment sector, of course, will continue to be the engine that fuels Bangladesh's economic growth. The garment sector has already lifted millions of Bangladeshis out of poverty, and as the sector continues to move up the value chain, it will bring many more billions of dollars into the economy. As part of our commitment to help Bangladesh further develop its brand in the RMG sector that is respected worldwide, we're working with the government, brands, factory owners, workers, and unions to help build respect for workers' safety and labor rights there. I'm very fond of saying that this coalition literally does not exist anywhere else in the world, where all of these forces have come together to help build upon or make something very valuable out of the tragedy that occurred 2 years ago now in Rana Plaza. We're absolutely convinced that safe workers and respected workers who have a say in their workplace, help the industry become more productive. And so it's not only the right thing to do and a good thing to do to increase worker safety and worker rights, it's absolutely a good way to improve the bottom line of manufacturers in Bangladesh today and make the industry more competitive in the future, so that the RMG sector remains one of the world's premier ready-made garment sectors. And we've made a lot of progress on that front in the last 2 years, again, working together with this unique coalition as well as other foreign governments and organizations. The government has registered over 250 new unions. It has created an online database for factories that have been inspected, and it has begun to train over 100 labor inspectors, among many other accomplishments. Much remains to be done. I always emphasize that union organizers and leaders are still facing harassment and in some cases physical violence. So we're working with the government and the International Labor Organization and others to provide means to train both unions and supervisors on how to interact with one another, and to encourage the government to set up mechanisms, including online tracking systems, to ensure that those abuses stop and that the perpetrators are held accountable. But we will continue, of course, to work with the industry and government to improve the sector and improve labor and management relations, and ensure that there's an empowered workforce who can work for the good of the sector. We're supporting the factory and community organizing efforts with a new $5 million program that has recently been announced. And we're also working with the Ministry of Labor to develop a mechanism to deal with the unfair labor practices. The United States is the largest single importer of Bangladesh's garments, but our business ties go so far beyond just clothing. The United States is also the single largest foreign direct investor in Bangladesh, and yet there's so much more we can do. I've pledged the business community in Bangladesh to help increase both Bangladesh's exports to the United States as well as U.S. Exports to Bangladesh. We've got many American companies in Bangladesh who are investing, including Chevron and Coca-Cola. We're very supportive of increasing that investment as well, and we're confident that as we work to make sure that the playing field is level for all businesses, Bangladeshi and American, that we can attract even more American investors and businesses to the Bangladesh market. Businesses tell us consistently that there are 4 things that are the main obstacles to providing more investment. One is infrastructure, a challenge that we know here in the United States as well. Energy, and Bangladesh is working, especially now with India and Nepal, to increase the energy provided to industry and private Bangladeshis alike. Corruption, and then finally stability, political stability. I want to emphasize that there are a number of industries in Bangladesh as well that I think in the future are going to give RMG a run for their money. One is pharmaceuticals, and we're working right now to be able to import, for Bangladesh to export pharmaceuticals to the United States. The IT sector, very impressive, and growing very rapidly. And regional trade. Everyone is very excited about the recent trade agreement between India and Bangladesh, which will allow each country's trade to transit the other country in order to reach a third country. If you look at a map, it is Bangladesh that bridges South and Central Asia to Southeast Asia. There are people today talking about, not just dreaming about, but planning for a regional trade bridge that will reach from Istanbul to Bangkok. And Bangladesh is set to benefit more than any other country from that development. And I hasten to add, because your counterparts in San Francisco mentioned this, so I'll mention it before you do, and that is that one of the U.S.'s greatest exports is our education. Bangladesh has a number of students now who are studying in the United States, over 4,000, and Bangladesh is about to break into the top 25 countries in the world who are sending students to the United States every year. Every one of those students creates bridges between our two countries. We are also very strong partners with Bangladesh on security. I'll just mention very briefly that what brought me here to the West Coast this week was a transfer ceremony of our second U.S. Coast Guard cutter to the Bangladesh Navy, which took place in Alameda, California on Wednesday. Our cooperation has brought very real and tangible benefits to Bangladesh and the broader region. I'm really fond of saying that the Coast Guard cutter and the Bangladesh Navy are so effective in fighting piracy that insurance premiums for any ship that transits the Bay of Bengal drop for that portion of the voyage that goes through the Bay of Bengal, because there is so little piracy in that sector now. This shows that Bangladesh is a force for global peace and stability, and that it is poised to become a regional leader. Today, Bangladesh is squarely the #1 contributor to peacekeeping operations around the world, and I'm proud to say Bangladesh is one of the largest suppliers of women peacekeepers around the world. And in the near future, with its improving naval capabilities, Bangladesh will be a key maritime security provider beyond the Bay of Bengal as well, especially in protecting the blue economy, everything from fishing to shipping lanes in the region. We've also made strides to cement our relationship through our annual partnership dialogue, which helps to advance the robust and growing bilateral relationship and provide its strategic direction. Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Wendy Sherman led a large delegation to Dhaka for these talks, the fourth in the series, along with Assistant Secretary for State for South and Central Asia, Nisha Biswal. The dialogue is an opportunity for us to discuss the full range of our bilateral activities, including development and governance, trade and investment, and our security cooperation. This year, we broadened the discussion to include also environment, health and infectious diseases, and the blue or maritime economy, as I mentioned. And I'm proud to say that the U.S. Congress has appropriated money in response to the Ebola crisis of last year to help countries develop and maintain better emergency response systems for infectious diseases, particularly the very fast and most virulent of these infectious diseases. Bangladesh is such an effective surveiller of infectious diseases that it has been included in the first 17 countries of the Global Health Security Initiative. And so in partnership with the Centers for Disease Control, the Department of State, the U.S. Agency for International Development, and the Department of Defense, Bangladesh will be at the forefront of this new effort. As you know, and I will mention this, I will mention very quickly that Bangladesh has just completed its city corporation elections in Dhaka and Chittagong. And I'm sure that if you've been following the statements or following the news, you'll know that we and the embassy and the Undersecretary of State, Wendy Sherman, both made statements that the U.S. was disappointed that day, both by the irregularities that occurred and by the fact that the opposition boycotted the elections midway through the polls. But we're focused, and we will remain focused, on the long-term solution to accommodate all parties, and parties with a small p, not necessarily political parties, and that allows all Bangladeshi people to peacefully express their views within the democratic space that is provided in Bangladesh. I'm fond of saying that Bangladeshis, like Americans, have democracy built into our DNA, and that as you watch and see how Bangladesh has developed and come so far in the last 40 years, the fact that the country returns time and again to the democracy, which is a part of its roots, is extremely encouraging. I wanted to just end by saying that the government-to-government ties that I've been talking about are important, but we should recognize that they only play a supportive role, as they should, to something that is even more impressive, and that is the strong and organic people-to-people ties that continue to lead and define the U.S.-Bangladesh relationship. With a diaspora that is 500,000 strong and growing, living in every corner of the United States, hundreds of thousands of other Bangladeshis who have studied in the U.S., do business here, or otherwise visit each year, and the growing number of Americans who visit or live or study in Bangladesh, it is the people of our two countries who are, more than ever, driving our relationship forward. Your presence here tonight is proof of that. As Bangladesh grows, the U.S. applauds its efforts to play a catalyzing role in the region, including the recent agreements to increase trade and connectivity with its neighbors. And we're eager to work with Bangladesh to help the country raise incomes and livelihoods by connecting the growing economies of South and Southeast Asia. We can see how broad and deep the relationships between the United States and Bangladesh are. how it benefits not only the United States and the people of Bangladesh, both at home and abroad, but globally as well. Bangladesh has near unlimited potential to transform both itself and its region, and will be a strong partner in helping the people of Bangladesh to achieve its potential. Again, I want to thank you very much for coming here tonight, for greeting me. I want to assure you that I am an enthusiastic proponent for this bilateral relationship and all that we can achieve, and I can't wait to see what we can achieve in the next couple of years together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.